2016, and they will also get in some more information about Karen McDougal, who is another woman that was allegedly paid because of her claims about Donald Trump. So a win for Donald Trump in the sense that the tape won't be played, but some losses in that there is more evidence coming in that he doesn't necessarily want before the jury.
Jury selection is also underway. President Biden was asked by reporters about Iran's attack on Israel over the weekend. He says the U.S. is committed to the region's security.
We're committed to a ceasefire that will bring the hostages home and preventing conflict from spreading beyond what it already has.
The Israeli War Cabinet met again today as it considers a response to the weekend's aerial attack. 18 months in prison for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. The armorer on the set of the movie Rust was sentenced today for her involuntary manslaughter conviction in the fatal shooting of a cinematographer.
It was interesting to see Hannah Gutierrez emotional from the very start of today's sentencing, needing tissues, crying, tearing up. We heard that emotion when she ultimately addressed the judge, saying that she wasn't a monster. But again, ultimately, the judge saying that she ultimately did not express any sort of remorse or the kind of accountability that the judge needed to hear.
ABC's Mola Lengi outside the court. It's April 15th. The deadline to file federal income taxes in most states is midnight tonight. An hour to the close on Wall Street, and the Dow is down 229 points. You're listening to ABC News.
If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Some prominent executives among those getting pink slips at Tesla. ABC's Mike Dubusky with details.
Tesla is cutting about 10% of its workforce, approximately 14,000 employees. That includes the company's VP of Powertrain and Engineering, Drew Baglino, and Rohan Patel, Tesla's VP of Public Policy and Business Development.
The cuts come weeks after Tesla reported a significant drop in deliveries in the first quarter, down 20% year over year. A bizarre and deadly shooting in Ohio after a phone call scam.
81-year-old William Brock of South Charleston, Ohio, is charged with murder after receiving a scam phone call. The caller claimed to have information about an incarcerated relative and demanded money. At the same time, an Uber driver, 61-year-old Lolitha Hall, got a scam reservation to pick up a phony package at Brock's home. Police say she showed up, was held at gunpoint by Brock, who took her phone and wanted to know who sent her. Hall was then allegedly shot 3 times and killed by Brock as she tried to leave. Investigators say Brock failed to contact authorities before opening fire, and there was no active threat to warrant the shooting. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Samsung is back on top of the smartphone sales charts. The company was #1 in the first quarter of this year, shipping over 60 million phones. Global smartphone shipments increased nearly 8% in the first quarter of 2024. It was the third straight quarter of increases. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Orth live in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, April 15th. Students in the Port Angeles School District returning to school on schedule today after a successful round of negotiations between the district and the Port Angeles Paraeducators Association. After an intensive day of bargaining on Sunday, both parties reached a tentative agreement on a new contract guided by a mediator's recommendations. The breakthrough comes after schools were shut down for 5 days last week due to the strike by the paraeducators. Teachers also honored the picket lines. Details of the contract agreement have not been released, but the resolution allows schools to operate without interruption as those details are finalized. Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter will run for Clallam County Commissioner. Dexter announced over the weekend she is running for the 2nd District seat. She joins incumbent Randy Johnson as the only candidates to announce they are running for that seat this fall. Dexter served 2 terms on the city council, has been deputy mayor, and has twice the mayor of Port Angeles. In a prepared statement, Dexter said, quote, "As mayor, I have been a proponent of increasing child care, developing meaningful solutions to the housing crisis, supporting first responders, including the Coast Guard, and working to support local agencies responding to the opioid crisis. There are issues that I will remain dedicated to as I move toward the county commission as they affect everyone in Clallam County." She noted her collaborative work with the county on the Joint Public Safety Project and grant funding through the county that's helped with the Community Paramedicine Program in Port Angeles. Outside of her council responsibilities, Dexter works full-time as the Clinical Outreach and Accreditation Coordinator for the nursing program at Peninsula College. She also currently serves as a parent volunteer for her son's Olympic Junior Babe Ruth baseball team. Before being elected to the council, Dexter served on the Franklin Elementary PTO as treasurer and president. One person was airlifted after an overturned car was discovered Saturday morning off Deer Park Road. About 8 a.m., Clallam 2 Fire Rescue raced to the accident near the 6.5-mile marker. They got a call about a car that had skidded off the road and tumbled down an embankment. Someone was trapped inside. The on-duty team called for backup right away and also called for a Lifeline helicopter on standby. When the rescue team got there, they found a car had smashed into a tree. The driver, who was alone, was seriously hurt, pinned in the wreck about 20 feet down from the road. The rescuers used special tools to cut the victim free, then lifted them to the road using a Stokes litter, where paramedics from Olympic Ambulance were ready to take over. But the injuries were so severe they decided to airlift the victim right away from a nearby field. The helicopter touched down, picked up the victim, and flew them to Harborview. Looks like the crash might have happened sometime during the night and was only spotted by someone passing by about 8 a.m. The Clallam County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate. Now with a look at some other things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys and his weekend wrap-up.
In addition to the very serious weekend vehicle accident near the Deer Park Road and 101 intersection, 9 others were investigated, with none of those mentioning injuries. But the weekend surpriser was 19 citizen requests for assistance of various kinds. Officers and other officials quickly responded to information regarding 4 attempted or threatened suicides countywide. The good weather brought out a whole lot of long-stored barbecues. Apparently some master and not-so-master barbecue chefs were busy at work, with some areas of heavy smoke seen in a few backyards, but nobody complained. The 1 assault and 1 domestic violence did not seem to be related to any outdoor activities. There were 2 harassments and 3 threats of bodily harm, but those threats resulted in nothing. There were 9 disturbances that attracted the attention of police. That's about half of the usual number. Thefts glided up a bit to 6, but no known burglaries. And the number of dog bites settled down to just 1. At least some welcome good news, humble as it is, after a weekend of disturbing news from the Middle East. But enough of that. Sandy Keys, Radio Pacific Local News.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan & Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in. They took the burden off my family's shoulders and guided us through everything we needed to do. No pushy sales tactics or unanswered questions. They just held our hands and took care of everything we asked. That's why I will always recommend Drennan & Ford for end-of-life decisions. They handle the hurt like no one else can. Call 360-457-1210.
future, sharing a dream. Working together, we're on the same team.
Are you tired of paying high interest rates on your consumer loans? Look no further than Straight View Credit Union. We're proud to offer the best consumer loan rates in Clallam County, so you can borrow what you need without breaking the bank. Whether you're looking to purchase a new car, make home improvements, or consolidate debt, we've got you covered. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff will guide you through the loan process and help you find a payment plan that works for your budget. Plus, as a member-owned cooperative, we prioritize your financial well-being over profits. Join us today and experience the Straight View Credit Union difference. Visit us online at svcu.com or in person to apply for your consumer loan today. Insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
In other news, an incident at the Clallam County Jail on April 11th led to the rearrest of an inmate just as he was being released. George Parrish V, initially held on a charge of physical control, now facing a Class C felony charge for custodial assault after attacking a corrections sergeant. Authorities report that while being escorted back to his cell in the process of being released, Parrish suddenly turned aggressive and struck the sergeant with a closed fist to the arm. His hostility escalated as he also tried to kick at deputies. The responding officers subdued Parrish, employing a full-body restraint system known as the WRAP to prevent further injuries to both staff and the inmate. That specialized restraint system is designed to ensure safety for all involved by minimizing the possibility of harm. Following the altercation, Parrish was promptly rebooked into the facility under the new charge. Kids, get ready to fish. The 23rd annual Kids Fishing Day in Sequim is set for this coming Saturday. It goes from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Reuse Demonstration Pond on the north side of Carrie Blake Park. All kids 14 and younger are invited to participate, accompanied by an adult. No fishing license is required, and kids are allowed to keep 2 fish each. Worms and power bait will be available, and a fish cleaning station will be on site. The event is sponsored by the North Olympic Peninsula chapter of the Puget Sound Anglers, the City of Sequim, and the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. Contact Sequim's Public Works Department for more information. In Snoqualmie, a historic building housing 4 women-owned businesses was devastated by fire. The incident happened about 5:30 Sunday in downtown Snoqualmie. Firefighters from Eastside Fire and Rescue, Snoqualmie Fire Department, and the Redmond Fire Department worked to combat the blaze, but the building was a complete loss. The affected businesses included Snoqualmie Ice Cream, Chickadee Bakery, the Snoqualmie Pie Company, and Littlest Wishes Photography. No reported injuries. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. And in Tumwater, a high-speed pursuit unfolded early yesterday morning as law enforcement agencies worked together to apprehend a DUI driver who accelerated to 100 miles per hour in an attempt to evade police at one point. The Thurston County Sheriff's Office received information about the pursuit, which initially involved Napavine police and a suspected driver on I-5. As the suspect entered Tumwater, Thurston County deputies tried to intercept. That's when the chase went to 100 miles per hour, and at one point a U-turn was made, and the suspect headed back towards pursuing officers on I-5. The Tumwater unit strategically deployed spike strips to finally disable the suspect's vehicle. This is Newsradio KONP.
Septic Myths and Facts, Volume 3.
I use an additive to help my septic system work better.
Washington State doesn't recommend you use any additives in your system. There's no evidence that they improve the life of a septic, and some can even be harmful.
But how do I know if it's working or damaging my system?
By having regular inspections. A list of licensed inspection professionals is available at Clallam County Environmental Health's website at clallam.net/septic.
April is the month for our used car bonanza. This is Dale from Wilder Auto, and if you're in the market for a used car, truck, SUV, or van, then you're going to strike gold at Wilder Auto. The good news is that we have the biggest selection of pre-owned gyms on the peninsula. When you add to that our state-of-the-art service facilities, over 100 lenders available, and of course the Wilder Advantage, why would you go anywhere else? I'd like to invite you to come on down and do some prospecting, or check us out 24/7 at wilderauto.com.
Attention all moms-to-be. North Olympic Healthcare Network's board-certified physicians specializing in family medicine with obstetrics are here to guide and support you on your pregnancy journey. We provide personalized, compassionate care focused on building a long-lasting relationship before, during, and after pregnancy. From pre-pregnancy planning to childbirth to primary care for your whole family, we're with you for the journey. To learn more, visit nohn-pa.org/obstetrics.
All Weather Heating and Cooling is your Mitsubishi authorized dealer. Mitsubishi electric heating and cooling systems offer efficient individual room control with allergen filtration, no ductwork, and dramatic energy savings. Mitsubishi Heating and Cooling Systems. Live better. Contact All Weather Heating and Cooling today.
Here's your Newsradio KONP forecast. Slight chance for isolated rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. Daytime highs approaching 52. Westerly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Lows level off around 38 tonight. Partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 51 tomorrow. Mainly clear skies. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 54 degrees.
From ABC Sports, this is Rich Cantu. A second green jacket for Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler putter back and in. Scotty, he's done it again. Scotty Scheffler, for the second time in 3 years, is the Masters champion.
The final call on Masters Radio on Sirius XM. Scheffler finished 11 under for the tournament, his second career major championship. His first was the Masters in 2022. After Sunday's final round, Scheffler explained how special the win was.
It's been a long week, a grind of a week. The golf course was so challenging, and to be sitting here wearing this jacket again and getting to take it home is extremely special.
With the win, Scheffler joined Tiger Woods as the only other player to win a Players' Championship and Masters in the same calendar year. NBA, the seeds are set for the 2024 playoffs and the dreaded play-in. The Thunder managed to seal the top seed in the West, beating the Mavericks' reserve lineup 135-86. Head coach Mark Dano fully confident in his squad entering the postseason.
Supreme confidence in our team, and how prepared we are walking into this week.
The T-Wolves fell to the Suns 125-106, falling to the 3 seed. The Nuggets beat the Grizzlies 126-111, but fall to the 2 seed. OKC owned the tiebreaker. In the West play-in, the Lakers will face the Pelicans after beating New Orleans on Sunday 124-108. Lakers head coach Darvin Ham on how they'll prepare.
Just lean into what we did well, understanding that they may make some adjustments in terms of their matchups, and just have a plan, a backup plan, and an escape plan. Once we see what their response is to what we've done tonight.
The Kings will host the Warriors in the second West play-in. The Knicks clinched the East 2 seed, edging the Bulls in overtime. The Sixers defeated the Nets, meaning they'll play host to the Heat in the play-in. This is Rich Cantu, ABC Sports.
Bad Boy tractors are born from the legendary Bad Boy mowers. From 20 to 35 horsepower, subcompact to midsize, Bad Boy combines power, performance, comfort, and as always, build strength to deliver the workhorse dependability you need to get the job done and done right. Homeowner, landscaper, or rancher, there's a Bad Boy tractor for you to work with an attitude.
Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales is your Bad Boy tractor dealer in Sequim. Call 360-452-1400 to learn more.
Listen up, gamers. Mountain Dew has always been your go-to for a refreshing citrus kick. Now it's also your go-to for gaming rewards. With Mountain Dew Gaming Rewards, you just look for codes under the caps of specially marked 20-ounce bottles of Mountain Dew. Enter those codes online to bank points, and then redeem them for awesome gaming gear. Everything from gift cards, game copies, controllers, consoles, custom Mountain Dew gaming gear, and more. Join Mountain Dew Gaming Rewards now.
Open to legal U.S. residents 18+. Subject to program terms at MountainDewGaming.com and 2525. Voter prohibited.
Got an event? Make it special with live classic hits from Black Diamond Junction. The band voted best on the peninsula the past 7 years in a row.
We hired BDJ for our anniversary party. Their classic hits were so good and kept all generations of our guests dancing.
What a great band and the best entertainers. We had them for an event and won't hesitate to bring them back again. No question.
BDJ made our annual family and friends party the best ever. So professional and great to work with.
Get more info at blackdiamondjunction.com or Black Diamond Junction on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram.
Your high-tech life comes to real life with Kim Commando.
Well, I want to thank you for all the information I've gotten and all the money you've saved me over the years.
I love your show, and thank you so much for providing so much information.
I am now the techie geek of the family. Everybody comes to me because I learned so much from you.
But does that interest you as far as moving the music to Google at all or not?
I would be willing to look into that.
And the dog would be too.
Saturday mornings at 9 on Newsradio KONP.
Newsradio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Every major book publisher in the nation now has joined a lawsuit aiming to block school book banning in Iowa. Penguin Random House filed the suit in November. And now HarperCollins, Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, and Sourcebooks all have announced they've joined the action. The Wall Street Journal cites the publishers as saying the rise of book bans nationwide has prompted the decision. More legal pressure now on a property management software company. Dow Jones says attorneys general for Arizona and the District of Columbia are suing RealPage and more than a dozen of its customers who are landlords. They're accusing the software company of fixing apartment rents at properties around the country. March retail sales were nearly twice as high as economists figured, and that is convincing investors interest rates will stay higher longer. So the stock averages are falling about 2/3 to 1 2/3%. The Dow down 229, the Nasdaq 263, the S&P 56. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's check the traffic next. Brought to you this time out by Angela's Furniture and Olympic Medical Center.
Spring savings are springing up all over the place, and those savings just keep getting better at Angela's Furniture. Sit pretty in your new stressless seating with $200 off any seating style. From now through May 28th, take advantage of up to any number of seats with $200 off each. And while you're in, check out the new Anna A3 arm in all Paloma leather colors. Stressless by Ecronus, the most innovative, comfortable seating created. Spring savings going on now for a limited time only at Angela's Furniture.
In an emergency, every second counts. That's why at Olympic Medical Center, our emergency department is here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But we understand that emergencies can be overwhelming. That's why we've created 3 helpful videos to guide you through the process. Learn about emergency room wait times, understand trauma care, and discover how to be prepared for your visit. All at olympicmedical.org/ER videos. Olympic Medical Center, caring for you when it matters most.
Newsradio KONP, traffic and roads.
Right up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go now. That's where Steve's standing by with a look at the traffic this noon hour for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, kind of a busy day out there. The Port Angeles and the Squim area. A lot of traffic right now. Both First Street and Front Street in Port Angeles fairly busy. Downtown's getting busy, especially with the Coho unloading right now. So be aware of that as you come into the downtown area. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Squim right now, things are looking pretty good. It's busy, but at the speed limit. They do have some construction out there around the Pierce Road area along that section of the highway. Not causing too much of a problem, but be careful as you make your way through that area. If you're headed out any further right now, Hook Canal Bridge, it is they're doing maintenance on it, let's put it that way. Next 2 weeks, they're going to be working on the bridge, random openings, but the scheduled ones are at 10 in the morning and at 2:30 in the afternoon. And that could hit or miss depending on how far along they are in the weather. So just plan on delays getting across the Hook Canal Bridge for the next couple of weeks. If you're headed out to the Forks area right now, things are looking pretty good. No real issues out there. Traffic's moving along at the speed limit with no real problems. So everybody enjoy your afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
All right, thanks, Steve. Currently sunny across the peninsula for the most part. It's 48 in Port Townsend. Out west at Forks, it's 50. 51 now in Squim. 49 in downtown Port Angeles. And out at Fairchild Airport, they're checking in at 54 degrees now.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Losing weight is tough. Keeping it off, even more difficult. And as the saying goes, abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym. In other words, while exercise is really important for your overall health, if you are looking to lose weight and keep it off, you should pay more attention to your diet than exercise. And it's not just what you stop eating that matters. The things that you start eating matter as well. According to a new study out of Harvard School of Public Health, people who cut carbs but then ate more meat did see that weight come back, whereas people who replaced the carbs with more plant-based foods, they did not. If you want to try this, the study's authors say it's always wise to start with a diet that emphasizes fresh fruits and non-starchy vegetables. Also, think about whole grains, nuts, and legumes. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Rizin, a prescription-only 150-milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. There's a lot of talk today about this word liberty, but just what is liberty? I'll give you one excellent definition after this important message.
Hey, Kelly, answer me a question. What's the greatest nation in the world?
That's easy. America.
Would you ever leave America?
No way. I love America. Jerry, why all the questions?
Well, because I'm concerned. America is changing so much, so fast. There's too much crime and disrespect, and most of us are doing nothing.
But we do have so many good people in America, right?
Yes, we do. But so many are doing nothing to save America.
Then what do we do?
Well, we must act. If not, the children, our future leaders, may never see our American greatness.
And what can you do to help? You can help us. God has shown us a way, and we are determined to do our part. Go now to www.jerrystewartusa.com and see our Saving America website. It's a place full of great stories and a site for all ages.
Do you love America? Want to save America? Go to www.jerrystewartusa.com to help us.
In May 1944, while our nation was in the middle of our terrible World War, one U.S. scholar, Judge Learned Hand, did his best to explain not just the meaning of liberty, but its spirit. He said, "The spirit of liberty seeks to understand the minds of others. It considers the interests of others. The spirit of liberty remembers that not even the smallest sparrow falls to the ground unnoticed." He finished with this sobering thought as a reminder that young Americans, men and women, are fighting and dying every day for our liberty. Folks, don't take our liberty lightly. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
For the Washington State News Network, I'm Rob Francis. Today is tax day. The IRS said most taxpayers should see a refund in about 3 weeks after filing, if you're getting one. If you didn't opt for direct deposit and you filed on paper or you're waiting for a check, it could take a little longer. The IRS's Where's My Refund tool allows you to check the status of your refund. A 37-year-old man is alive and recovering after troopers say he jumped off the Otobashian Bridge into the Columbia River just after noon on Saturday. State Patrol Trooper Jeremy Weber said the man jumped off the bridge for unknown reasons.
We're unsure what the reasoning is. We do know that he was recovered and taken involuntarily to the hospital. We're hoping he can get some help. I'm not sure of his conditions as far as broken bones or anything of that nature, but I do know that he was taken to the hospital and he was living.
The man was taken to Confluence Health Hospital's Central Campus under involuntary commitment. The extent of his injuries not known. The State Patrol did list the incident as a possible suicide attempt. And a 15-year-old Renton boy is dead after being shot by another teen. According to police, the 16-year-old shooter called 911 Saturday afternoon to report he shot the other teen. The victim died after being taken to an area hospital. Police arrested the 16-year-old on suspicion of second-degree murder. Authorities say the two teens knew each other and that the shooting was not random. For more on these stories and others, download the WSNN mobile app. You can also visit our website, WashingtonStateNews.net.
If you're a contractor, it's now easier for you to do business with the Department of Labor and Industries. Go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line and make an appointment with us ahead of time. No waiting around, no wasted time away from your job site. You get in, get out, and get on your way. Easy. So contractors, just go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line to make an appointment and get back to doing what you do best.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Biden says the United States worked closely with allies to successfully defend Israel from Iran's weekend military attack.
Iran launched an unprecedented aerial attack against Israel, and we mounted an unprecedented military effort to defend Israel. Together with our partners, we defeated that attack.
Meanwhile, in the wake of Iran's missile and drone attacks on Israel, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson says that the House will be voting in the coming days on an emergency aid package for Israel. On the Salem news program This Week on The Hill, Johnson warned that bipartisan support for Israel is critical at this moment in history.
This is an alarming thing. It's a dangerous thing. The reason we stand with Israel, for us, it's a matter of faith, but it's also a matter of geopolitical stability. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. If the world ever sees that we lack that resolve, they will come with all guns blazing, literally so, against Israel. It's a dangerous, dangerous situation right now. We cannot show a lack of resolve.
Speaker Johnson confirmed with President Biden and other congressional leaders Sunday as the world awaits Israel's response to Iran's attacks. Also at townhall.com, the first of Donald Trump's 4 criminal prosecutions heads to trial today. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The New York case is centered on accusations that Trump sought to bury stories about extramarital affairs that arose during his 2016 presidential run. Indictments in this case made Trump the first ex-president charged with a crime. The trial gets underway despite repeated attempts by Trump lawyers to delay the trial and remove the judge. The former president, who denies any wrongdoing, has complained that he should be on the campaign trail, not in a courtroom. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Sisay Lima of Ethiopia wins the Boston Marathon in 2 hours, 6 minutes, 17 seconds. More at townhall.com.
Biden has started tracking Christians like cattle. Yes, you heard it right. He pressured banks to tag transactions for certain keywords. One of them is Holy Bible. That's a horrifying and creepy attack on our religious freedoms. It's made possible by a digital financial system that makes you a sitting duck. But you do have other options. I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst, a best-selling author, and evangelical leader to people who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Biden's anti-Christian bureaucracy while also preserving your retirement savings. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text faith to 989898. There are no strings attached. So text faith to the number 989898 right now and take action to protect your own prosperity.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is in China for a 3-day visit. Correspondent Karen Chamas reports 2 agenda items are trade talks and the Ukraine war.
Scholz's first stop was the industrial hub of Chongqing, where he visited a Bosch hydrogen fuel cell plant alongside a flurry of local media. German companies such as BMW and Volkswagen are highly reliant on the Chinese market, but Beijing's support for Russia creates frictions with the West. The Chancellor's visit also comes as German companies argue that they face unfair market barriers in China.
Following a visit Monday to Shanghai, Scholz will fly to Beijing and meet with President Xi Jinping on Tuesday. A year-long war in Sudan has devastated the country and pushed its people to the brink of famine. Top diplomats and aid groups, they're now meeting in Paris to drum up humanitarian support for northeastern African nation. Breaking news at townhall.com. A movie weapons supervisor facing a possible sentence of up to 18 months in prison in the fatal shooting of a cinematographer by Alec Baldwin on the set of the Western film Rust. Movie armorer Hannah Christina Reed has been incarcerated ahead of today's scheduled sentencing hearing on an involuntary manslaughter conviction. A major move for the Lakota Nation.
A Native American-led nonprofit has purchased 40 acres of land in South Dakota's Black Hills area. The Cheyenne River Youth Project says it bought the land. The executive director of the project says the area is considered, quote, one of the most sacred places for the Lakota Nation. Some tribes in the U.S., Canada, and Australia have gotten their rights to ancestral lands restored in recent years with the growth of the land back movement. Jason Walker reporting.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, April 15th. Students in the Port Angeles School District returning to school on schedule today after a successful round of negotiations between the district and the Port Angeles Paraeducators Association. After an intensive day of bargaining on Sunday, both parties reached a tentative agreement on a new contract guided by a mediator's recommendations. The breakthrough comes after schools were shut down for 5 days last week due to the strike by the paraeducators. Teachers also honored the picket lines. Details of the contract agreement have not been released, but the resolution allows schools to operate without interruption as those details are finalized. Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter will run for Clallam County Commissioner. Dexter announced over the weekend she is running for the 2nd District seat. She joins incumbent Randy Johnson as the only candidates to announce they are running for that seat this fall. Dexter served 2 terms on the city council, has been deputy mayor, and has twice the mayor of Port Angeles. In a prepared statement, Dexter said, quote, as mayor, I have been a proponent of increasing child care, developing meaningful solutions to the housing crisis, supporting first responders, including the Coast Guard, and working to support local agencies responding to the opioid crisis. There are issues that I will remain dedicated to as I move toward the county commission as they affect everyone in Clallam County. She noted her collaborative work with the county on the Joint Public Safety Project and grant funding through the county that's helped with the community paramedicine program in Port Angeles. Outside of her council responsibilities, Dexter works full-time as the Clinical Outreach and Accreditation Coordinator for the nursing program at Peninsula College. She also currently serves as a parent volunteer for her son's Olympic Junior Babe Ruth baseball team. Before being elected to the council, Dexter served on the Franklin Elementary PTO as treasurer and president. One person was airlifted after an overturned car was discovered Saturday morning off Deer Park Road. About 8 a.m., Clallam 2 Fire Rescue raced to the accident near the 6.5-mile marker. They got a call about a car that had skidded off the road and tumbled down an embankment. Someone was trapped inside. The on-duty team called for backup right away and also called for a Lifeline helicopter on standby. When the rescue team got there, they found a car had smashed into a tree. The driver, who was alone, was seriously hurt, pinned in the wreck about 20 feet down from the road. The rescuers used special tools to cut the victim free, then lifted them to the road using a Stokes litter, where paramedics from Olympic Ambulance were ready to take over. But the injuries were so severe they decided to airlift the victim right away from a nearby field. The helicopter touched down, picked up the victim, and flew them to Harborview. Looks like the crash might have happened sometime during the night and was only spotted by someone passing by about 8 a.m. The Clallam County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate. Now with a look at some other things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys and his weekend wrap-up.
In addition to the weekend's Deer Park Road serious injury accident, there were at least 10 others less serious, one of which yesterday afternoon east of Blue Mountain and 101 intersection left witnesses with mouths agape. An eastbound car left the highway to the right, skipped over a deep ditch, hit the base of a steep, tall bank, and continued up nearly to the top before it stopped at a very precarious angle. Unknown if there were any injuries, and unknown how the car would be guided back down. But the weekend surpriser was 19 citizen requests for assistance of various kinds, and officers and other officials quickly responded to information regarding 4 attempted or threatened suicides countywide over the weekend. The good weather brought out a lot of long-stored barbecues. Apparently, some master and not-so-master barbecue chefs were at work because there was quite a bit of smoke in some backyards, but nobody complained. The one assault and one domestic violence did not seem to be related to any of those outdoor activities. There were 2 harassments and 3 threats of bodily harm, but those threats resulted in nothing. There were 9 disturbances that attracted the attention of police. That's about half the usual number. Thefts glided up a bit, though, to 6, but no known burglaries, and the number of dog bites finally settled down to just 1 over the weekend. At least there was some good news, humble as it was, after a weekend of depressing news from the Middle East. But enough of that. Sandy Keys, Radio Pacific Local News.
In other news, an incident at the Clallam County Jail on April 11th led to the rearrest of an inmate just as he was being released. George Parrish V, initially held on a charge of physical control, now facing a Class C felony charge for custodial assault after attacking a corrections sergeant. Authorities report that while being escorted back to his cell in the process of being released, Parrish suddenly turned aggressive and struck the sergeant with a closed fist to the arm. His hostility escalated as he also tried to kick at deputies. The responding officers subdued Parrish, employing a full-body restraint system known as the WRAP to prevent further injuries to both staff and the inmate. That specialized restraint system is designed to ensure safety for all involved by minimizing the possibility of harm. Following the altercation, Parrish was promptly rebooked into the facility under the new charge. Kids, get ready to fish. The 23rd Annual Kids Fishing Day in Sequim is set for this coming Saturday. It goes from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Reuse Demonstration Pond on the north side of Carrie Blake Park. All kids 14 and younger are invited to participate, accompanied by an adult. No fishing license is required, and kids are allowed to keep 2 fish each. Worms and power bait will be available, and a fish cleaning station will be on site. The event is sponsored by the North Olympic Peninsula chapter of the Puget Sound Anglers, the City of Sequim, and the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. Contact Sequim's Public Works Department for more information. In Snoqualmie, a historic building housing 4 women-owned businesses was devastated by fire. The incident happened about 5:30 Sunday in downtown Snoqualmie. Firefighters from Eastside Fire and Rescue, Snoqualmie Fire Department, and the Redmond Fire Department worked to combat the blaze, but the building was a complete loss. The affected businesses included Snoqualmie Ice Cream, Chickadee Bakery, the Snoqualmie Pie Company, and Littlest Wishes Photography. No reported injuries. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. And in Tumwater, a high-speed pursuit unfolded early yesterday morning as law enforcement agencies worked together to apprehend a DUI driver who accelerated to 100 miles per hour in an attempt to evade police at one point. The Thurston County Sheriff's Office received information about the pursuit, which initially involved Napavine police and a suspected driver on I-5. As the suspect entered Tumwater, Thurston County deputies tried to intercept. That's when the chase went to 100 miles per hour, and at one point a U-turn was made, and the suspect headed back towards pursuing officers on I-5. The Tumwater unit strategically deployed spike strips to finally disable the suspect's vehicle. This is Newsradio KONP.
Bathfitter does showers? That's right. We offer a wide selection of beautiful and functional showers. We can even convert your bath into a shower. With our seamless one-piece walls and hundreds of design options, you'll get a beautiful new shower guaranteed for life. Bathfitter's been around for 40 years, and we've been experts at showers for just as long. Bathfitter, it just fits.
It's the final month Bathfitter Northwest pays your sales tax. Just call 800-NEW-BATH. OAC, see store for details.
Your community-minded friends at First Fed bring you the Community Corner, highlighting good things happening right here in our area.
Your local American Red Cross will be installing free smoke alarms across Clallam County, and you can help. Register now to get a free smoke detector, or they really need volunteers to help install the free smoke detectors with the Red Cross teams. Go to redcross.org/NW Home Fire. Having working smoke alarms can cut the risk of death by half. Checking or installing smoke alarms and practicing fire drills at home is critical. You're encouraged to volunteer with the Red Cross to help install smoke detectors for other Clallam County residents. Register to volunteer by going to redcross.org/NW Home Fire. That's redcross.org/NW Home Fire. The free smoke detectors will be installed during April.
Corner, presented by First Fed.
Weather forecast calls for increasing cloudiness as we head through the afternoon today. Could see west winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour as we get to late afternoon into the evening. Those breezy conditions continuing into tomorrow as well. Look for partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of rain overnight, and your west winds gusting to 35 miles per hour, and that'll be decreasing as we head towards morning. Look for Tuesday to be mostly clear, and your highs are going to be in the upper 50s. A sunny Wednesday on the way with highs in the upper 50s. Looks like sunshine continues on Thursday with highs again in the upper 50s, and sunshine again for Friday with your highs continuing to be in the upper 50s. Saturday, clearer, and then also Sunday, partly sunny. So a nice stretch of some pretty decent weather on the way, and your highs are going to be continuing in the mid to upper 50s and maybe even above 60 as we head a little bit later into the week. Currently, right now, across the peninsula, we have partly cloudy skies. It's 49 in Port Townsend. Out west at Forks, it's 50. Squim's got 52. Downtown Port Angeles, it's 50. And out at Fairchild Airport at last check, they are at 54 degrees.
Hello, this is Amanda Huff with Swim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called natural organic reduction, or simply terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you'd like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Squim Valley Chapel in Squim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Keeping your family safe and healthy can start right in your own home. With a few helpful cleaning tips from Olympic Medical Center, you can prevent the spread of viruses and bacteria that can make your family sick. We've got some handy advice on how to clean around the house, targeting those pesky germs causing flu, colds, and even foodborne illnesses. Enjoy a cleaner, healthier home today by visiting olympicmedical.org/healthyhome.
Klahani Gymnastics is so much more than mats, bars, and balance beams. It's a place for building strength and confidence in our kids. It's promoting self-esteem and key building blocks for a healthy lifestyle. And of course, fitness is always fun at Klahani. Get the favorite child in your life a gift certificate for tuition and call to check on our schedule for upcoming classes. 360-457-5187. Klahani Gymnastics on Acorn Lane in Port Angeles, making fitness fun since 2009.
I'm going out with the girls this weekend. Nails done, outfit stunner, and my skin, I know it's going to be glowing because I glammed up my shower routine with new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. It smells so luxurious and moisturizes deep into my skin with its super rich, creamy lather that's bursting with vitamin B3. So my skin glows and my confidence grows. Try new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash for glowing skin in just 14 days. I'm a waitress, so I know the difference between regular shoes and Skechers slip-resistant work shoes. Skechers slip-resistant work shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta primavera.
Thanks.
While regular shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta whoa! Yeah. And that difference is why I wear Skechers slip-resistant work shoes. They've got serious traction to keep me on my feet. Plus, they're easy to clean and have Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam for comfort throughout my shift. They come in classic, wide, and relaxed fits, as well as a variety of fashionable styles, including athletic looks, so I don't have to sacrifice style for safety. In fact, my Skechers slip-resistant work shoes look so good, I often wear them when I'm not working. Hey, slips can happen at any time, so even if I'm not at work, my Skechers work shoes are putting in overtime. Get America's #1 selling work shoe at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever work shoes are sold.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Posters, flyers, signs, and menus for less? Think Staples. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. Now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Same-day service available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. And all backed by Staples' Print Perfect guarantee. So it's done right or it's printed again, free. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. N61, visit staples.com/print for details.
Next hour on the Todd Ort Live Show, we'll talk with Clallam County Prosecuting Attorney Martin Nichols about the new revised Washington State Bar Association standards for indigent defense and how that may have an impact on the local criminal justice system. And in the second half of the program, we'll be talking about some emergency management planning activities that are happening here in Clallam County. So that's all next hour on the TO Show.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Just minutes ago, ahead of Wall Street's closing bell, and after starting the day with sizable gains following a surprise jump in retail spending in March, a sell-off in tech stocks has the major averages on track to end solidly lower. Right now, the Dow down more than 0.5%, the tech-heavy NASDAQ down 1 2/3%, and the S&P 500's down 1%. Among the big decliners, shares of Trump Media, the parent company of the former president's Truth Social app. Those shares are down about 19% right now after the company registered its shares for potential resale, allowing early inside investors, including Trump, to sell millions of shares. Today was also the start of the former president's hush money criminal trial in New York. Shares of Tesla down 5%. It's laying off 14,000 workers worldwide because of a slump in sales. And after a recent surge, home builder sentiment this month has leveled off. But despite sky-high prices and mortgage rates at 7%, it's still the highest since July. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Last check of the roads this noon hour next, brought to you by Leitz Farm Supply and McCrory Carpet One.
Leitz Farm Supply is your locally owned LS tractor dealer. But did you know that it's the only locally owned service center too? Leitz offers you complete service on all your LS tractors from day one. They have 2 full-time trained technicians, a fully stocked parts department, and competitive pricing for a quick turnaround. Call or text today at 360-452-1400 or stop in at 259-110 Highway 101 in Sequim. Leitz Farm Supply and Equipment Sales, your local farm store, and so much more. At McCrory Carpet One, they sell more than just carpet. If you walk on it, they carry it. Hardwood, laminate, vinyl, tile, stone, and more. Plus, experience their award-winning installation service on everything they sell. Because McCrory's sells more flooring than anyone else on the peninsula, and Carpet One stores sell more flooring nationally than anyone, they can say always priced right and always done right. McCrory Carpet One, serving the community since 1958.
Newsradio KONP, traffic and roads.
All right, up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go now. That's where Steve's standing by with a last look at the noontime traffic for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, it's been kind of a busy day or afternoon as far as driving around town. Fair amount of traffic out there, but it is moving along relatively smoothly. Just some slowdowns at the stoplight, so we're in pretty good shape that way. Now, if you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim, things are looking good. It is busy, but at the speed limit. A little construction out there around the Seabirds Creek, Pearson Road area, so be aware of that and slow her down to the construction zone. If you're headed beyond that, right now the ferries are running on time. Hood Canal Bridge, they're doing the maintenance inspections on it here for the next about 2 weeks. So that is going to cause some issues. So just plan on some delays. They do have scheduled openings at 10:30 in the morning and 2:30 in the afternoon, or 10 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon. Those can vary with how far along they are with their work, plus the regular scheduled openings. So just expect delays going across the Hood Canal Bridge. If you're headed out to the west end right now, 101, we're in good shape all the way out. No issues out there. It's busy, but traffic is moving along at the speed limit. So everybody take care. Enjoy your afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. Well, a study suggests that your favorite geometric shape reveals the real you. Okay, if you like squares, you're an organized, logical, and hardworking person who likes structure and rules. Sometimes you have trouble making decisions because you always want more information. If a rectangle's your favorite, you're a courageous, exciting, and inquisitive explorer who always searches for ways to grow and change. You enjoy trying things you've never done before and love asking questions that have never been asked. If you dig triangles, you're a born leader who's competitive, confident, and decisive. You also like recognition and are interested in politics. American businesses have traditionally been run by triangles, and they're usually men. If you're a circle person, you're a people person with lots of sympathy and consideration for others. You listen and communicate very well and are very perceptive about feelings. You like harmony and hate making unpopular decisions. And if you're into squiggles, well, you're a creative person who's always thinking of new ways to do things, but you don't think in a deliberate pattern from A to B to C. Instead, you tend to jump around in your mind, going from A to M to X, for example. All right, let's get you updated on everything tech. It's Kim Commando's Consumer Tech Minute next.
It's far too easy for your teens to receive and send nude photos and videos, and that immature decision will come back to haunt them someday. Anguish, humiliation, financial blackmail, and it's actually illegal to send nude photos of minors. With AI, these photos can be manipulated to make the person seem to be doing something far more than they were actually doing when the photo was taken. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. Secure your online data today at expressvpn.com/Kim. Even though it's a big part of the problem, Instagram wants you to believe that it has the answers. Users who receive nude images will see a pop-up explaining how to block the sender or to report the chat. Those who attempt to send a nude via direct messages will be advised to be cautious. Cautious? Once again, social media attempts to come off as a good citizen when it's really the problem itself. To get ahead in life, you have to be tech smart. That's why you need my free newsletter at getkim.com. Ever browse in incognito mode? Well, incognito mode is part of your Chrome browser. So, yeah, it's a Google product, and Google has made its fortune by tracking your movements online. Google's defense? Incognito does not mean invisible. So how do you actually make yourself invisible online? With ExpressVPN. Data brokers buy and sell your IP address, which uniquely identifies you and your location. But with ExpressVPN, your connection is encrypted and your IP address is masked, so it's harder for third parties to identify you and harvest your data. It's a must-have for truly private browsing. I use ExpressVPN every time I go online. It's easy to fire up the app and tap connect. So if you really want to go incognito and protect your privacy, secure yourself with the #1 rated VPN. Visit expressvpn.com/tech and get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/tech. expressvpn.com/tech.
Consuming a healthy amount of salt can be challenging, but salt substitutes may hold a solution. I'll tell you more after this.
Get ready for grilling season with the Burger Perfection Flight for just $89.99 when you shop omahasteaks.com and use promo code QUALITY at checkout. That's 24 rich and juicy Omaha Steaks pure ground burgers. They're guaranteed to deliver an explosive combination of tenderness, juiciness, and unmatched quality. Each 6-ounce burger is guaranteed to satisfy with every bite. That's omahasteaks.com, QUALITY at checkout to unlock this exclusive deal. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
A recent study out of the UK looked at people using salt substitutes and the effects on blood pressure, risk of stroke, and risk of cardiovascular disease. Researchers found that people using salt substitutes had an 11% lower risk of stroke and a 13% lower risk of heart disease. So as a doctor and a nutritionist, here's my take. Most data shows that people who consume too little and too much salt fare worse in terms of medical outcomes. Second, for people with heart failure or kidney disease, salt consumption does need to be regulated. And lastly, if you're trying to lower salt in your diet, try other spices and read those package labels. With Your Body, I'm ABC's Dr. Jennifer Ashton.
Hi, homeowners. Tracy here from Tri-State Roofing, your premier GAF Master Elite Roofer. As spring makes its way into the Pacific Northwest, it's time to assess your roof, especially if your home has seen many seasons. Check for telltale signs like missing shingles, moss growth, and gutters full of debris. Spot any of these? Well, it's Tri-State time. We're your 5-star award-winning Puget Sound roofer for 2 decades. As a locally owned rarity among the top 2% of the nation's roofing contractors, investing in us means we invest in your peace of mind. At Tri-State, we understand the importance of making things stress-free, especially with your finances. We offer great financing, including our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 18 months on approved credit. With Tri-State, it will be done right the first time. Call Tri-State today at 253 Roofing. Yes, that's 253 Roofing. Join us at the Washington State Spring Fair, April 11th through the 14th and 18th through the 21st at the Fairgrounds in Puyallup.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
News, sports, and information for the North Olympic Peninsula. We're Newsradio KONP, Port Angeles, Squim, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. History in a New York City courtroom.
This case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this.
Former President Trump addressing reporters before court today as his hush money trial begins. Jury selection is now underway.
Every available seat in the courtrooms is filled with prospective jurors. The first batch of 96 entered the courtroom a short while ago, and the judge immediately launched into about a half an hour's worth of an explanation about what this is and about how a potential juror needs to be fair. And a fair juror, he said, is somebody who is not biased or prejudiced for or against the defendant or witness.
ABC's Aaron Katursky. House Republicans will meet tonight behind closed doors. They need to determine how they're going to keep their pledge to offer more aid to Israel after last weekend's attack by Iran.
Every available seat.
It's a clear illustration of the pressure Speaker Mike Johnson is under. The House Freedom Caucus says in a statement that Congress should provide aid to Israel, but that the emergency situation there should not become a, quote, bogus justification to ram through Ukraine aid. House Democrats say the Speaker should swiftly put on the floor the bill the Senate passed in February, providing $14 billion in aid for Israel and roughly $60 billion more for Ukraine.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy in Washington. Still haven't filed your income taxes?
As of April 5th, the Internal Revenue Service had already processed just over 100 million federal income tax returns. On this deadline day, that number will swell. So will the number of filings of Form 4868, the application for an automatic 6-month extension. If you're taking that route, tax professionals urge you to estimate the amount you expect to owe and pay as much as you can now.
ABC's Jim Ryan. 18 months in prison for Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the armorer on the set of the movie Rust, was sentenced today in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. You're listening to ABC News.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage.
Cisse Lema of Ethiopia won today's Boston Marathon. On the women's side, it was Kenya's Helen Obiri. In another division, a new marathon record.
Switzerland's Marcel Hug winning the men's wheelchair race, despite crashing and flipping over at about the 18-mile mark.
It was my fault, didn't steer properly.
But Hug able to right himself.
Material was okay, so I could get up and go forward.
And beating his own course record of just over 1 hour and 15 minutes for his 7th Boston win.
ABC Dave Packer. In the wake of the Arizona Supreme Court re-implementing a near-total abortion ban law, California is bracing for an influx of women seeking the procedure.
California has positioned itself as a safe haven for women across the country looking to get an abortion. Now with the ruling in Arizona, California abortion providers are bracing for a wave of women coming from Arizona. Gila Gonzalez is CEO of Planned Parenthood Northern California.
The next couple of weeks are critical, and that will tell us everything that we need to know.
Arizona lawmakers refused to repeal the near-total abortion ban last week, but are likely to revisit it later this week. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has vetoed a ban on gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth in her state. The Democratic governor calls the legislation divisive, targeting a small group of people by dictating to parents how to best raise and care for their children. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
End-of-life decisions are hard. Be it pre-planning or sudden loss, you need to have an advocate in your corner, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory in Port Angeles, the only locally owned funeral home and crematory in Clallam County. Their expertise ensures a smooth process so you can focus on healing and being with your loved ones. Their help through the darkest time in my life will forever stay with me. Call 360-457-1210.
Bathfitter does showers? That's right. We offer a wide selection of beautiful and functional showers. We can even convert your bath into a shower. With our seamless one-piece walls and hundreds of design options, you'll get a beautiful new shower guaranteed for life. Bathfitter's been around for 40 years, and we've been experts at showers for just as long. Bathfitter, it just fits.
It's the final month Bathfitter Northwest pays your sales tax. Just call 800-NEW-BATH. OAC, see store for details.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. Students at Port Angeles School District back in school as scheduled on Monday after a successful round of negotiations between the district and the Port Angeles Para-Educators Association. After an intensive day of bargaining on Sunday, both parties reached a tentative agreement on a new contract. Details of that contract have not been released yet. Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter will run for Clallam County Commissioner. Dexter announcing this weekend she's running for the 2nd District seat. She joins the incumbent in that seat, Randy Johnson, as the only candidates who announced they're running this fall.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Slight chance for isolated rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. High temperatures reach up to 54. Winds out of the west, 15 to 20 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 38. Daytime highs approaching 51 tomorrow. Mainly sunny skies. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 54.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, busy show today. Going to spend the first part of it talking with Mark Nichols. He's the Clallam County prosecuting attorney. And actually, we're going to be talking about something that's on the other side of the courtroom, and that is some proposed changes that have to do with defense, indigent defense. But it does have an effect on what Mark deals with here in Clallam County as the prosecutor as well. So, Mark, first of all, thanks for coming in. It's always great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Todd. Always a pleasure to be here.
Now, you may have seen a bit of news that came out in the last week or two about a proposal that's come from the Washington State Bar Association about revising yet again the standards for indigent defense services. And mainly this is about caseload again and just how much, I guess you could almost say how busy a public defender's office ought to be or not be in the state of Washington.
I think that's a fair characterization of the discussion as it's developed thus far. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the revised standards that have been promulgated by the State Bar Association, I wanted to frame the discussion today by stating that I firmly believe that in order for the criminal justice system to operate in the manner envisioned and yield just results, it requires that there be skilled, fairly compensated prosecutors on one side of the equation and skilled and fairly compensated public defenders on the other. Comparability has always been, I think, an important consideration in relation to those two disciplines. And so the discussion that we're going to have today, while it will highlight, I think, some concerns and raise some questions, one of the things I want to make sure is not on the table as a question is my thought regarding whether there's wisdom in having caseloads at all. I think having standards is generally a good thing. I also think having accountability is. But with that, yes, I would be honored to spend my time with you today talking a little bit about the revised caseload standards, how they came into existence, and what by rights some of the consequences may be as a result of them over the next 2 and 3 years or so.
So first of all, let's roll back a number of years, because this isn't the first time we've had this revised standard. This is a kind of a chapter 2, if you will. A number of years ago, the state Supreme Court said it changed. Basically, it was kind of a free-for-all. I guess you might almost call it a free-for-all before that, as far as how indigent defense was handled. You'd have an office, and they just had to handle what they handled. And in some cases, and I think it's a fair criticism, I mean, you had public defenders that were having just horrendous caseloads because there just were not enough of them, and they had a lot of cases coming through. That changed. It was to equal out a bit as to what happens with the prosecutor's office as far as caseloads go. So take us kind of through that, and then how it's led to maybe what this next proposal is.
Certainly, and I'll start by just touching on a note of terminology, because I recently had a conversation with a member of our community, and when I mentioned the phrase indigent defense, the individual stopped me at one point and said, "What is that exactly?" And it reminded me that terminology that may be common within the court system may not be so common outside of it. And so when we talk about indigent defense, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the fact that criminal defendants have a Sixth Amendment constitutional right to counsel, which is guaranteed regardless of a defendant's ability to pay. And so for anybody who has watched court television or who's taken the time to zoom into Clallam County Superior Court or District Court on any of its often held calendars, they will hear the judge on the bench say something like, "You have a right to be appointed by an attorney. If you cannot afford one, then one will be appointed to you at public expense." And that is indigent defense, public defenders being appointed to represent people who are being charged by the state of Washington with crimes. And so to shift gears a bit and talk about the history of this, which I think is important, I'm not going to go all the way back in time, but most of the articles that I've been reading of late, most of the commentary with regards to the latest iteration revised caseload standards starts by citing to the fact that in 1973, the National Advisory Commission on Criminal Justice Standards and Goals opined that public defenders should have caseload standards. And while there are many different standards that were identified in 1973, for purposes of keeping this discussion simple and on point today, I'm just going to speak in terms of felony caseloads. But it's important for the listenership to understand that there are also misdemeanor caseloads that were opined regarding. There were juvenile caseloads, mental health caseloads, but I'll just use the example of felony caseloads so that the listenership can track the evolution of this a little better. If we fast forward to 2013 in Washington State, the Washington Supreme Court adopted caseload standards, and they were based on the 1973 guidelines that had been published. And so by way of example only, those standards state in relevant part that the caseload of a full-time public defender should not exceed 150 felonies per attorney per year. If we fast forward from 2013 to September of last year, 2023, a new national report was published by the American Bar Association in collaboration with the National Center for State Courts and the RAND Justice Policy Program. And it suggested that new standards that divide a public defender's available annual hours by the average amount of time needed to handle different case types was in order. In other words, they were suggesting a completely different way to approach calculating caseload standards for public defenders. And what they did essentially was to recognize that there are certain types of cases that are complex to prosecute, and they are also complex to defend against. A great example would be premeditated first-degree murder, pretty high-stakes case, bound to be the case that there's going to be quite a bit of motions practice, more involved discovery, quite a bit of volume that needs to be reviewed, you name it. And that can be contrasted with something like a petty theft, which is going to take far less time to delve into and understand and provide representation in relation to. And of course, between something like a petty theft or even a driving while license privilege suspended in the third degree and murder one, you have all manner of different case types of varying complexity. The more complex the case, the higher the case weighting assigned to it. The less complex the case, the lower the case weighting score. And so the Washington State Office of Public Defense took the September of 2023 study that was released, and they folded it into a letter that they submitted to the state Supreme Court. And OPD asserted at the time that the public defense system in the state of Washington was on the verge of collapse. That's the phrase that the director of OPD used. And that was a remark that was made, and that was followed by a request for the state Supreme Court to issue an order implementing some restricted caseload standards in the near term until the adoption of new standards, which were being developed by the Washington State Bar Association, could be developed as previously requested by the state Supreme Court. And so it seems that the High Court in Washington has been involved and monitoring this as an issue of some concern for some time. We have the OPD at the state level involved. We have the State Bar Association involved. And by involved, I mean that the State Bar Association, not the local Bar Association, but the State Bar Association's Board of Governors on March 8th of this year, and this brings us full circle to where we are today, they voted and adopted revised caseload standards. And these standards are quite different from what is currently in place based on the 2013 rules that had been adopted by the state Supreme Court. And so just to give the listenership a basis for comparison, the current standards, which are in place until July of next year, they allow for one full-time public defender to handle no more than 150 felony cases per year. By July 2nd of 2025, the number reduces to 110 felony cases per year. Actually, case credits per year.
Yeah,
so,
yes, let's go back to what you just talked about. A first-degree homicide case is going to be weighted as more than the petty theft case. So 150 doesn't mean you're doing 150 murder cases, for example.
Exactly.
That might be one case.
Yes. And so the case weighting that's a very, very important distinction to draw in relation to what's happening. And so the 150 felony cases per year, which is the current standard, converts, and beginning July 2nd of next year, 2025, a full-time public defender can handle no more than 110 felony case credits per year. If you bump forward another year to July of 2026, the number reduces to 90 felony case credits per year. And it culminates in July of 2027 with a cap on a felony public defender being that they can handle no more than 47 felony case credits per year. And when we're talking about case credits, just understand that something like a murder or a strike offense might be 7 or 8 points.
Right, and so a couple of those cases can severely impact, an attorney's caseload. I mean, they may end up with just a couple of 2-3 cases in a year in some cases. Pardon the redundancy in some cases.
Sure, and I think that I was taking a look at the the weighting that had been assigned to different cases in the WSBA's revised caseload standards, because they spell them out quite clearly. And for something like a strike offense, I believe it was 7 or 8 was the number assigned to it. And so ostensibly, if somebody had, 5 strike offense cases, 5 times 8 equals 40. They're getting pretty close to
that's the maximum for the
47, right? And so they may be able to take on a lower level felony or two, but the point is that the number of cases that they take on is in all likelihood going to be significantly less under the revised standards than has been the case in years past. And this raises a number of important considerations that I think people need to be starting to focus on, to paying attention to now, recognizing that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to roll this forward year after year to get a sense of what's going to develop across the state of Washington, including here in Clallam County, and some of the impacts that are going to occur as to the criminal justice system. And so an obvious question is, who's going to pay for this? Because if a prosecuting attorney in any of the 39 counties is going to continue prosecuting at more or less the same level, that is, they're not going to reduce their charging standards in a way that's going to reduce the number of cases being filed, we just continue business as usual, we can do that because prosecutors have no caseloads themselves. This is where there's a bit of a disparity between prosecutors on the one hand and public defenders on another. If we continue charging at our current pace, it's going to result in a certain number of cases on an annual basis. But because of the change in caseload limitations on the public defense discipline, it's going to require that there be quite a bit more by way of public defenders in order to handle that book of business. Who is going to pay for all of those additional public defenders? Well, currently, it's the county. The County Board of Commissioners takes general fund monies and they apply them towards the cost of indigent defense. The salaries and benefits, office space, paper clips, technology packages, you name it, all that stuff needs to get paid for in the same way that it is for the prosecutor's office. But if we significantly increase the number of attorneys in the public defender's office, there's a cost associated with that. The new standards also speak in terms of there being social workers and being defense investigators. And I think these are probably fantastic resources, especially the defense investigator. I'm not entirely clear on what the social worker positions would do, but these all would come with an added cost as well. Presumably, that would be attached to the county's budget. And so this is, I know, already raised concerns within the Washington State Association of Counties who have questioned whether this rises to the level of an unfunded mandate at present, much less based upon what we can anticipate experiencing moving forward.
Has any of that been addressed or even admitted to in any of the requests that have been floated so far? I mean, I probably know the answer, but go ahead.
Yes, there's. It has not been at the forefront of the conversation based on what I have read. It has been acknowledged as a challenge.
Okay.
However, it is one that takes a backseat to the broader concern and the immediate one at hand, which involves the provision of constitutional rights as to the accused. And so when you're trying to balance and weigh the value of a constitutional right versus the dollars and cents considerations of county governments, the constitutional right is, I think, always going to occupy rank and take priority. And so that's not a problem that the State Bar Association needs to contend with, frankly. They're looking at caseload standards. They're focusing on the Sixth Amendment right to counsel. The WSBA standards are currently before the Washington Supreme Court. I don't know what the court is going to do with them, if they're going to, say, for example, expedite rulemaking and try to enshrine the WSBA's standards into court rules, or if there's going to be some other action taken. And whether the high court is going to pause to consider the cost consideration, I don't know. From my perspective, the cost consideration is extremely important. However, in some respects, it's only an academic concern. And the reason I say that is because as I've looked at what's happening in relation to law school enrollment over the last 15 years or so, and you can run a Google search on this and find law school transparency sites, it does appear to be the case, according to many polls, that law school enrollment has declined. Moreover, not only has law school enrollment declined, but the number of law school graduates who are entering the public sector as compared to the private sector seems to be static or decreasing as well, probably because the pay's not there to compete. And so this should not come as rocket science and a shocker to anyone. But the fact is that in the same way the county prosecutor's office in Clallam County and in so many counties across the state and nation is having a difficult time in attracting and retaining qualified applicants, I think the same can be said for the indigent defense discipline. And so you can create the need for attorney positions on paper all day long, but if you don't have an adequate supply of people to fill the positions, there's nobody to whom you need to pay the cost of salary and benefits, which is why I say the cost consideration in some respects is an academic one at present.
So if this goes through, and let's just go with the trends, Clallam County Public Defenders, they can't, get enough attorneys to fill the void, because essentially in the next 3 years, if this goes through, if we do the numbers right, you're talking about a third of the caseload essentially per attorney in most cases, or in a lot of cases. That means in order to continue on, you're going to have. So what does it mean? I mean, what ultimately will happen if you've got a public defense office that can't get enough people to fill the desks that are required? What do you see happening?
Well, what I see happening is what I'm most concerned about out of this entire proposal, and that involves the impact to public safety. Because unless there's a radical shift in the behavior of the legal market, and there's a drove of new attorneys who come into public service and step forward and say, I would like to work for the public defender's office. Hopefully some will say, I also want to work, or I want to work for the prosecutor's office. We need good folks on both sides of the aisle. But absent that happening, if law enforcement continues to refer the way that it does, which I expect that it will, even with some of the changing policies in our state, and if the prosecutor's office continues to charge the full panoply of crimes, ranging from criminal trespass 1 all the way up to murder and everything in between, which is my goal, and so long as I'm here, that I believe will continue to be my goal. We're going
to. You don't see changing the way you are operating. Then that was my next question. So
no,
with that said, you're going to continue on.
There are, to be clear, there are problems and there are concerns in my mind based upon what is happening. I do not plan on contributing to that by balancing public safety on the backs of this crisis. There needs to be public safety occurring as a result of the operation of the criminal justice system. And I have in the past, and I continue to take the position that while dollars and cents are important in relation to these sorts of exercises, public safety is priceless, it is intangible, and once you lose it, it is extraordinarily difficult to get the feeling of public safety back. And so I am not planning on significantly changing anything at present. I don't think that is a reasonable solution to many of the challenges that present as a result of this. But the real concern in my mind is that if we fast forward maybe to mid-2027, when when public defenders, a full-time felony public defender, is only allowed to have 47 felony case credits per year, and we continue to charge away in the same manner that we have, I think what's going to happen is that invariably, again, unless we see a drove of attorney applicants come to Clallam County, and I just don't see that happening in the near term, and maybe not by 2027 either, I think we're going to have a position or a situation that develops where I'm going to have to do make some tough decisions, because under case law, there's a case from 2011 captioned State versus Monday And what that case holds in relevant part is that defendants are among the people the prosecutor represents. The prosecutor owes a duty to defendants to see that their rights to a constitutionally fair trial are not violated. Well, how can I see that an accused's right to a fair trial is not being violated if I see that there is no counsel that has been appointed to somebody who claims to be indigent? And regardless of my own ethical obligation under case law, I don't think that any judge is going to be likely amenable to condoning a proceeding going forward in a circumstance where an individual is saying, I would like an attorney at public expense, please appoint one. We can't simply say, well, we can't find one, so we're just going to go ahead and proceed forward. I think the remedy instead is likely dismissal of the charges. And if somebody happens to be a dangerous offender who's in custody at that time, with the dismissal of the case, we lose the ability to hold them and they walk. And I think that would be a deeply, deeply concerning, extraordinarily dangerous outcome, ironically developing out of the criminal justice system. And so it doesn't sound in public safety to me. It's a train wreck on the horizon if we ever get to that point. And so what I'm hoping is that between now and then, the decision makers are going to pause to consider all of these issues. And the constitutional guarantee to counsel is vitally important. But we also cannot have outcomes occurring along the lines described. I think that that would be akin to the wheels falling off the train and it derailing off the tracks in a way that could have some profound and tragic and very dangerous consequences to communities across the state, including right here on the North Olympic Peninsula.
All right, as we wrap this up, just one kind of a, I guess, 30,000-foot level thought process for you. Why is it? I mean, it used to be that new law school grads, they tended to gravitate to go to a public defender's office, or they went and became deputy prosecutors. It was a great first job. They got their feet wet. They didn't stick around at it forever. What has changed that those law school students aren't gravitating to that? I mean, we talk about the money, but is it that they're just that enticed by, corporate law firm somewhere else? Is it just because it used to be that it wasn't that easy to get into a corporate firm? You usually had to cut your teeth somewhere first. Your thoughts about that?
I have spent some sleepless nights tossing and turning this very question over in my mind. What I know based upon feedback that I've received from individuals who I offered a job to over the last year, for example. These are attorneys from other states who applied to work in the Clallam County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, who made it through our interview process. The interview panels gave a big thumbs up and said, we think this person would be a great fit, a fantastic addition to the public sector bar here in Clallam County, and a great prosecutor. And what I have discovered, being on the receiving end of a thanks but no thanks, but with a willingness to share with me their thought process, is that on the one hand, Clallam County is hard-pressed to compete with a number of other county prosecutors' offices around the state. And so even though we've been offering unprecedented hiring bonuses, it's not been enough to persuade someone to come here, recognizing there's a 3-year commitment built in exchange for the hiring bonus. Secondarily, there have been prospects who shared with me that they either had family health care needs, which they didn't feel could be met given the overlay of health care within Clallam County, and or schooling issues that they feel would not be adequately addressed here. And so those are a few of the issues, but the other ones that seem to crop up and play some role involve that largely as a byproduct of the pandemic, so many law firms around the state transition from a work in the office to a work from home model. I think for big, mid-sized, and even small private sector firms, they have paused to reconsider whether they need to rent 4 floors in a skyrise in downtown Seattle, which is very expensive overhead, or if instead they can send people home with a technology package and say, most of what you're doing is transactional. We're going to pay you at a premium level. You don't need to commute. You don't need to plan on eating out in downtown Seattle, all of which are expensive things to do. And you can work from home, from the comfort of your own home, for a handsome salary. And I think that we are certainly struggling in an effort to compete with that.
That's nearly impossible to beat because most people, they would love that. I mean, I can stay at home, got the kids there. Childcare becomes not as big of a deal sometimes.
Yes, yeah. And so it's been interesting because it used to be that folks would come out of law school and go into prosecution or public defense, not because they were making the most money that they could, but because they were gaining invaluable courtroom time, trial skills. And through developing that skill set over the course of 5 years, they would become very marketable in relation to some of the private sector firms who needed to hire skilled litigators who knew how to move around the courtroom, who knew how to admit evidence, who knew how to address a judge, where to stand, and how to participate in voir dire. I'm not sure what's happening right now because I know we have quite a few seasoned attorneys who are retiring or who are getting close to that event horizon. We don't seem to have as many newer attorneys coming in learning these trial skill sets. This is an old world discipline in some respect. I've convinced myself because you still have to go into court. Monday through Friday in Clallam County, if you wander into the courtrooms, there are human beings there, and they are doing things that machines cannot. And our judges, I think, have responded favorably to having people back in the courtroom in the aftermath of the virtual appearance through the pandemic. But not everybody's willing to go back. And so part of what we're contending with is a generational and a pandemic kind of a phantom holdover challenge.
Right.
And I don't know whether we're going to get back into a position where we see a renewed interest in public service. I think that would be fantastic, both for public defenders and for prosecutors. I don't know if these caseload standards, if they're enshrined by the state Supreme Court in rule, are going to work all that well. I question whether we're going to invite a parade of terrible consequences if we're not very careful and methodical about vetting the challenges before simply implementing the rules. Because we can draft things on paper and implement them all day long, but if they have real world consequences and impacts, especially to ordinary people who are relying on the system to operate, I think we're being a little irresponsible as decision makers to not pause, solicit more input, feedback, and see if there's perhaps a better way forward that balances the constitutional interests with the financial, and my sense is that may involve and necessitate a conversation with state government along the way, and that's not going to happen quickly.
All right. Mark Nichols, always great to talk to you. Stay tuned. I think we're going to probably have some answers some way or another relatively soon on some of this, at least where the direction might be lying.
I think so, and my goal in wanting to speak about this is to just put it on the listenership's radar, because every once in a while there is a substantial issue that comes along, and from my perspective, this is probably the greatest issue that I've seen in my 20 years in prosecution, and I'm not sure that it's necessarily garnering the level of attention at this fairly early juncture that it needs to.
All right. Mark Nichols, Clallam County prosecuting attorney, talking a bit about some proposals of revised standards for indigent defense and just really how that affects all of the criminal justice system in not only Clallam County, across the state for that matter. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about some things happening through Clallam County's Emergency Management Division right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Have you been searching and searching for anyone to install, repair, or replace your windows? What about looking for someone to install a new exterior door? And what about a skylight? Or a new glass shower enclosure, or even a glass railing system? It can be hard, if not near impossible, to just get a call back. We at Hartnagel Building Supply sympathize with just how difficult it can be to get fast and dependable glass services. It's why we created our newest division, Hartnagel Glassworks. With over 80 years of combined experience, our team is ready and excited to help you on your next project. Whether it's big or small, residential or commercial, installation or repair, we can pretty much handle anything related to glass. Contact us today at 360-417-8388 or at hbsglassworks.com. Angeles Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply, building homes, building community since 1906.
McCrory Carpet One is part of a 1,000 store co-op. That means you get the competitive pricing of a big box store, but with a superior installation. Their team of professional installers are all employees who live here on the peninsula. Their installation teams take pride in their work because they know they're working for their neighbors and friends, local craftsmen helping local people. Experience the difference. Always priced right and always done right at McCrory Carpet One.
Amanda Huff from Squim Valley Chapel here. I wanted to let you know about a monthly series we're hosting called Ask the Funeral Director. Each month, we pick a topic to cover, but always save time for any burning questions you might have. During our April session, we'll cover all things body donation. Don't be afraid, have a question. Come by Squim Valley Chapel at 108 West Alder Street on April 18th from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. and get educated on events following life's final transition. Squim Valley Chapel, voted the best because you deserve the best.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood at Port Angeles Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines on Habitat for Humanity, who, for over 30 years, has supported affordable home ownership, both by building modest, well-built homes, partnering with qualifying families, and through performing repairs for low-income community members to stay in their homes as they age. You can help by buying from Habitat Clallam stores in Port Angeles and Squim, or making a tax-deductible donation. Also, to volunteer with Habitat, text Susan Bradshaw at 360-775-9781. That's 360-775-9781. It's said that service is the rent we pay for our space on Earth. That's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty.
All right, welcome back to the program. Going to switch gears just a bit now and talk about some things happening through emergency management. We have Diane Harvey here. She's a special assistant to the Sheriff's Office command staff and is helping garner through a couple of planning documents, if you will, and also a community survey we'll be talking about, too. That's all kind of related to this. Diane, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming in today.
Oh, thank you very much.
So let's dive right into this. You've got, let's talk about two different current emergency management planning activities. One has to do with just generally, I think, about planning, and then the other specifically about wildfire. So with that said, I'm going to just let you run with what you're putting together right now.
Okay, terrific. So right now we're embarked in a hazard mitigation planning, which is basically doing an assessment of the natural hazards that are present in the county and trying to figure out mitigation projects to reduce the risk. And we do this every 5 years as part of a FEMA requirement.
So give us a for example of what what mitigation looks like, what you're looking at, something that might be obvious to us as far as an emergency management perspective.
Sure. So our off-channel reservoir project, that's a hazard mitigation because it basically allows you to store water. Any sort of disaster resilience hubs, identifying different places in the county where people could go during an emergency event. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so inventorying schools or things like that, for example, as places that could be used.
Assuming they are seismically designed, yes.
And that's also part of the ask, I think, is what you're
and it
looking
is.
at. Yeah. Okay. So you say you got to do this every 5 years. This is a requirement. Then does this go under a comprehensive plan? How does this? Where does this fit in the overall planning scheme?
And that's a good question. So this actually sits really in emergency management, and what it's for. Of course, it's necessary to understand what our hazards are in the county and how we can try and mitigate it. But it's also for grant funding. So, for example, if I want to try and get a FEMA grant, I can't get it unless my hazard mitigation plan in this county is certified. And this plan also impacts the cities and a couple of also the tribes. Both the Jamestown and the Lower Elwha are participating in this, as are the Port and Peninsula College, and the PUD. And all of us are participating, with the possibility of them being able to be eligible for grant funding.
And what is, when we talk about grant funding, what would that sort of money be used for in this term? If you've got the plan is approved and certified and now you can make an ask.
So there's a couple of different grant programs. One is a BRIC, which is an infrastructure where you're basically building things. Mm-hmm. So the Channel Reservoir would qualify for BRIC.
Okay.
And then the other is really a hazard mitigation planning, what we're doing here, although we actually aren't using FEMA grant funding for this project. We're actually using state commerce money to the tune of $300,000 because under the Climate Commitment Act, there was money available for doing climate resilience. And I convinced the Commerce Department that we could also use that money, step one, to do hazard mitigation planning, and then step two, to do climate resilience. So we're doing them together this time around.
Interesting. Okay.
Which we didn't do in 2019.
I think in some cases, some of this does go in tandem. I mean, some of the hazardous areas are certainly affected by any sort of climate change that may come about as well.
Absolutely. When you look at some of the dangers here, we're being a coastal community.
Right.
10% of our population faces, landslides, soil erosion, flooding, sea level rise, and then, of course, tsunamis, right? If we get the big catastrophic earthquake, we're going to get tremendous tsunami activities within just the city of Port Angeles, 15 feet high tsunami waves. So those are the things that you have to plan for and try and understand, and you have to have evacuation plans in place, and you have to have a public that understands those plans. And then you also have to figure out mass care facilities and everything else.
Right. So when this is all done, essentially you get a document that says, yeah, we have a risk of tsunamis. I'm just going to use this because you were just talking about it. And here's how we deal with it. I mean, that's essentially what you're coming up with.
Yes and no. So yeah, you have that plan, but what you do with the plan, is as important as going through the process, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'll tell you what, one of the things that we need here in our county, we need to have disaster resilience hubs identified. We need to have a plan if we have a catastrophic event on how we're going to distribute food, water, equipment, and additional people who are going to assist us. Let me explain
Sure,
why.
Yeah.
So right now, FEMA's been looking at this for many, many years, but it hasn't been until January of 2022 that they actually created a 532-page catastrophic plan. And it affects our region and other regions. But basically, out of that 532 pages, there's one page that boils it down for us in Clallam County. All of the supplies food, water, all of the equipment such as generators and all of the additional assistance with people, they're going to come to one place in Clallam County, Fairchild Airport. And so if that airport's not operating, well, we're in big, big trouble, okay? Mm-hmm. But here's the other problem about our beautiful Clallam County, is that we only have one main road. It's 101. And 101 has all of these bridges. And if we have a catastrophic event, those bridges are going to fail. So not only is all of the supplies going to Fairchild, but Fairchild Airport is located on just one of the 20 micro islands that we would have. So it's a problem, right? We get all of our supplies in one micro island. Well, how are we going to get all of that supplies to the other 19 micro islands in our county? And these are the things that you have to start thinking about, and we are thinking about it. And we're also dealing with communicating with FEMA and State Emergency Management Division, because we need better plans, right? We need to have airdrop plans where we know that the National Guard is going to be dropping supplies to the different micro islands. And I need to be able to plan for the casualties and how we're going to get those casualties out of the county.
Right. Right. I mean, that not only getting people, getting supplies in, but people out if they're
correct.
hurt, right? Yeah.
That's correct.
Right. So,
and so it is a big job.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So timeline on this. I mean, how long do you have to get this document into the, next level?
Okay, so the current hazard mitigation planning, we've actually hired a bunch of consultants, and we are going to be getting that to FEMA in November. Okay. And one of the reasons why I came here today is to let everybody know that there's a community survey. It's available on the Clallam County website. It's under, if you go onto clallamcounty.gov, if you go onto the first page and just slide down to latest county news, there's a survey, and it says Survey, Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. If you just click that on, I'd love to get as many people as possible to go onto the website, click on the survey, and take the survey.
And these are regular citizens you want to hear from?
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Right. And the reason for that? I mean, why is that important information for you in putting this together?
Okay. So one of the things that you have to understand when you do hazard mitigation planning is you have to know what your citizens understand, right? So part of this is trying to understand from our citizens' perspective, do they have 30 days emergency supplies? I want to know, do they have flood insurance? Do they live on the coast, right? And what are they doing to mitigate, right? All of those questions are in this survey. Mm-hmm. We've completely updated it from 2019. And I'm trying to understand from the citizens' perspective what they understand and whether they're doing something, right? If you don't have 30 days of food and water, you're doing yourself a big disservice, because FEMA's not going to get here too soon. And we've also spoken to the U.S. Navy, and it's going to take optimistically 5 to 6 weeks for the U.S. Navy to come. So we need to have, all of us, 30 days supply. But you also need to have just a regular plan, right? What happens if an earthquake happens? Mm-hmm. Have you told your spouse, where are you going to meet? Are you going to meet at home? Where are you going to try to get your family, together again? What is your plan? And it goes for even businesses, right?
So get on there and do the survey. That's the main thing.
Please do the survey.
If nothing else,
Please.
It gives you information. Also gives us kind of some, I guess, personal feedback as to, I am not quite ready. You may be surprised. You may think you're ready and you're not.
Correct.
And by going through this. All right, go to Clallam County website and take the survey. How long is the survey open for?
It's open till May 10th.
Okay.
And it's a short survey. It's about 15 minutes total.
Okay.
And it does ask you if you have ideas for mitigation, for reducing risks. We love to hear.
And maybe
ideas.
Where one of these centers ought to be that we've been talking
Correct.
about,
or even if,
or
even if there's a road where like 112, where the road is eroding. tell us about it. Sometimes we don't hear enough from the public about things that are actually in real time going wrong.
Right.
And, believe me, that happens. So I always love to hear from the public.
Yep. All right. Before we run out of time here, also you are working on kind of a separate plan, and that has to do specifically with wildfires, which is a big deal around here as well. So tell us a bit about what's happening with that.
Sure, briefly. So we competed nationwide and got a $125,000 USDA grant to do a wildfire community protection plan. We had one in 2009, but it's outdated given climate change. And we're getting much higher temperatures during the summer, and that is upping our risk of wildfire events. I mean, the largest wildfire was back in 1951 in the city of Forks, and it burned about 38,000 acres. And we were lucky. We didn't lose a single person. But this time around, if we had that kind of a significant wildfire, we would lose people. And so we're trying to do this. I'm going to hire a consultant. That's going to be a 20-month project that we're going to do, and we're going to create a new plan. We're going to be working with the fire districts. I have every single fire chief has committed to work with us on a steering committee. We're going to have the National Park Service. We're going to have DNR. So we're all going to be in a room in which we can actually talk about vegetative management, talk about evacuation, how we would go about doing that, and really try and get a new plan. And again, the same message. With a new plan, we can go out and get grant funding to buy new fire equipment and maybe to pay for some of that vegetative management that I'd like to see done in this county.
All right. Lots going on. I think we'll be talking with you again, I think.
I hope to.
I would love to get you back. We can talk some more specifically about all of this, but I think the main message is for all of our listeners out there, get over to the county's website and get this survey done so that that information gets to Diane Harvey and her crew of folks that are putting this emergency management planning document together that is pretty important, as you just heard. Diane, we'll be talking again.
Thanks
for coming in. All right.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
We're going to take a break. We'll check in with the news coming up next.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Olympic Peninsula Title, the name you've known for your full title and escrow services, offers contract collection. Let Olympic Peninsula Title process, collect, and disperse funds with your private party loan. Find out more about this service and how it can work for you. OliPenTitle.com. Olympic Peninsula Title. Title, escrow, contract collection. Olympic Peninsula Title.
Bathfitter does showers? That's right. We offer a wide selection of beautiful and functional showers. We can even convert your bath into a shower. With our seamless one-piece walls and hundreds of design options, you'll get a beautiful new shower guaranteed for life. Bathfitter's been around for 40 years, and we've been experts at showers for just as long. Bathfitter, it just fits.
It's the final month Bathfitter Northwest pays your sales tax. Just call 800-NEW-BATH. OAC, see store for details.
Do you want to build strength, improve your endurance, lose fat, and gain muscle? TFW, Training for Warriors, will deliver the results. In a fun, friendly, supportive team atmosphere, TFW combines effective training and motivational coaching. If you like to work out on your own, TFW offers open gym hours. Show up, and we'll do the rest to bring out your warrior within. Located between Sunny Farms and Clear Creek RV on Highway 101. For more information, go to tfwsquim.com.
Here's the truth. Too many are still being denied access to the futures we all deserve. That's why the National Association of Realtors is fighting to make fair housing a reality. We are 1.4 million realtors sworn to uphold a code of ethics that sets a higher standard for fairness in housing than federal law. Together, we'll hold each other accountable until the fight for fair is won. Because this ad won't end discrimination in real estate, people will. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Stick out your tongue and say, ah, it's the craziest thing you ever saw. Here at Olympic Game Farm, they say howdy with a wave of a paw. Now it's hard to steer clear of the elk and the deer when they pop in to say hello. They've got lions and tigers and bears. Don't forget about the buffalo. It's impossible to stay calm. So come out with your dad and your mom. Canine and feline, you'll find us online at onlygamefarm.com.
This is News Radio KONP.
When temperatures drop, energy bills increase because of heating costs. For customers with electrically heated homes, the PUD offers instant rebates to help you pay for eligible ductless and variable speed heat pumps, which offer efficient heating in the winter and cooling in the summer. The instant incentive for ductless is $800 for homes that are replacing electric resistance heating. For variable speed systems, the instant incentive ranges from $250 up to $1,000, depending on what heating equipment that you currently have and what equipment you're going to install. Visit clallenpud.net for more information.
Rely on us for complete news coverage. We're News Radio KONP, Port Angeles Squim, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. The first criminal trial of a former U.S. president is now underway. Former President Trump is charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, including a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. ABC's Aaron Katersky says it could be a while before a jury is seated.
Could be up to 2 weeks if necessary. The potential